Hi, I'm Elizabeth Dancey, and I'm a security administrator here at Rize. Due to recent malware attacks on Rize's IT infrastructure, it is imperative that we take the proper measures to ensure our company's and customers' safety. The first thing I would recommend is using an Active Directory. Now, you may be asking yourself, what is an Active Directory? An Active Directory, or AD for short, is an operating system tool created by Microsoft to help maintain the IT infrastructure of a company's network on Windows servers. With the use of Active Directory, directory data can be stored in a hierarchical fashion in which it will be available for the use of the users along with administrators. Using Active Directory also makes it so the monitoring and controls for network permissions are all in one place. This makes organization of the network infrastructure much easier to keep up with. The Active Directory functions that will help us the most are 1. Being able to create users from one location instead of having to create them on a local device. This will help with not only making the process of creating and maintaining users easier, but you are also able to make sure user accounts have the same permissions across all platforms. This reduces the chance of attackers breaking into network infrastructure due to an account having too much access. Another feature of Active Directory is being able to use what is called Group Policy Objects, or GPOs for short. These are a set of security permissions, settings, and scope of management stored in one place. These GPOs can then be deployed and applied on different organizational units of the company or separate users instead of going in and changing permissions one by one. Some group policy objects I recommend implementing are the restriction of use of command prompts in PowerShell on regular accounts, screen lockout time for inactive devices, and account lockout policy for false password attempts. Moving on, we need to address our network security controls. Here at Rize, our hardware infrastructure consists of 2 database servers, 4 application servers, 2 web servers, and 25 workstations. This is relatively small, but is still important to ensure it is structured properly. The first thing Rize needs to implement is network segmentation between its different zones. Network segmentation is a practice of dividing a network into smaller subnetworks where each subnetwork allows only specific devices. This will also reduce the damage of an attack if it does happen, since it will be contained within one section of the network. We can implement this strategy by using virtual local area networks. These work by separating network traffic and limiting the number of functions a device might have with the network. Not only do they help the security of the company, but they can also improve the performance of the network. We will separate the network into 4 segments: our 25 workstations, 4 application servers, 2 database servers, and 2 web servers. That way everything is isolated from each other in the incident of an attack. The next thing Rize needs to implement is a proper firewall access control list. This determines what traffic is and is not allowed through certain segments of a network with the help of a firewall. We will work off the same basis we use for our network segmentation. Each segment will have a set of rules that they must follow within their network and will only be able to interact with each other in each section in a limited way. With less interaction between each section of the company, we will reduce the likelihood of an attack spreading to highly important areas like our database servers. We can implement Windows Defender Firewall, which will allow for the filtering of network traffic and blocks any request for access that is unauthorized. Another thing our company needs to add is endpoint security on our devices. Endpoint security protects the devices from the network that they are connected from cyber threats that may try to attack it. It protects the device by using antivirus software, firewall protection, and endpoint detection in response to identify and neutralize any cyber threats that may occur. We can implement CrowdStrike Falcon, which is a leader of endpoint security and offers these services. One of the last things we need to work on at Rize is our threat detection. With proper threat detection, we can increase the speed at which we are able to identify and neutralize a threat before it gets too out of hand. One thing we can add is intrusion detection system, which continuously monitors a network for any sort of malicious activity and immediately will send out alerts if it senses any. Another thing we must add is Security Information and Event Manager system. This system collects a large amount of data from all areas of the company into one comprehensive view, which can allow insight on Rize's security flaws and detect any possible threats that may occur. Along with strengthening our network security controls, we also need to focus on hardening our Windows security. The 4 areas I would like to address are password management, and we can do this by creating a company-wide password policy that ensures passwords are 14 plus characters long, include different symbols and numbers, and do not contain any easy-to-guess words like ones from a dictionary. And I know with those long, complicated passwords, employees will be more likely to write them down and keep them by their workstations, but hopefully we can decrease this likelihood by deploying a secure password manager like Password One. We will also be enabling a multi-factor authentication system on all devices. The next area I would like to look at is user account authorization. We will do this by requiring employees and admins to have separate user accounts depending on their roles. For example, admins will have an account for their admin functions, like changing things in the Active Directory, but also having a different account for daily tasks like checking emails. This will hopefully reduce the chance of a phishing attack happening. We'll also only give out privileges that are needed to perform the task for that employee. And we'll also remember to disable user accounts that are not in use anymore to ensure attackers are not able to access them. The next area is anonymous user access controls. We will do this by ensuring anonymous users are only located in the demilitarized zones and are only able to access that network. We'll also make sure that the use of access control lists and internal firewalls to make sure that they can't reach the internal network, and a web application firewall will be placed in front of 2 servers to ensure anonymous traffic is not able to infiltrate the system. The last area we will look at is a server connection authentication. We will do this by implementing Kerberos security to authenticate users and servers to users. User-authenticated server message block protocol will also be used to ensure only trusted users are accessing the network infrastructure. We'll also enable remote desktop gateway with network-level authentication for remote access. And here I have broken down the estimated time it would take to successfully deploy and integrate everything I had mentioned to ensure our success. It would take an estimated 31 days if we assume we are working in an 8-hour shift. To estimate our cost of labor, we will assume we have 5 security analysts working for $50 an hour. Our cost of labor would equate to $62,000 for the total period of time. Here I have broken down the estimated cost of the licenses needed for implementation. The total cost would add up to around $23,900. Adding together our labor costs and our licensing costs, the total cost for the security implementation would be $85,900. Now, this may seem like a lot of money to shell out for a hypothetical problem, but in the grand scheme of things, this investment will be well worth it. Cyber attacks nowadays are less of an if and more of a when. Studies from the International Monetary Fund report that cybercrime will cost the world $23 trillion in the year of 2027, which is a 175% increase from the year 2022. Cyber attacks can cause financial damage in a multitude of areas, whether it be ransomware payments, legal fees, downtime of our system, loss of clients, negative media attention, increase on insurance premium, or decreased value from the loss of investor confidence. Cyber attacks are able to ruin companies. As of right now, Rize Education is a company valued at $13.7 million. A cyber attack has a potential to cost a company 5% to 50% of their value, meaning even a minor attack could cost Rize $650,000 of our estimated value. We can compare this with the $85,900 that could be used to stop an attack like this from even happening. The way our world is moving, cyber attacks are not slowing down, and they are only getting stronger. The only way to stop the inevitable is to create an even stronger defense. With your investment into Rize's IT infrastructure, we can create a future that is safe for you, our employees, and most importantly, our clients. Thank you for your consideration.